Here's another episode of Ship Brief. Just a short little story. Here's another experience I had trying to navigate, I guess you could call it the healthcare system. This involves eye insurance, vision, I should say, vision insurance, and what it pays for and what it doesn't. And so the title of this episode is Vision Insurance a Scam? So here's my experience with my current vision insurance that I had. So obviously, I'm under different vision insurance because of just a policy change. And so with my old insurance, I was able to do business here in my local town, in my hometown, just literally 5 blocks from my house. Now I can't because it's not, in network, whatever that means anymore. Nothing really is in network anymore. And this is going to sound like a rant, and some of it probably will be because it's just annoying. So now I have to travel outside of my hometown to do business, which is fine. So I go to the new website. I go to the website that my vision insurance uses, and I look up a provider, and they say, okay, these are the list of providers that take this particular vision insurance. I said, okay, so I picked the one closest to my house. It's not a chain store. It's not a like big um, business. It's not like a Target or a Costco or a those kind of thing. It seems like it's a local business, so it's just in the next town over. So I have to drive to the next town over. So I say, cool, I'll go there. It's 7 miles from my house. They look like it looks like a locally ran business, which I appreciate. So I'll go there. So I'll make an appointment. I get there, and everybody's super nice. I fill out the super paperwork and all that kind of stuff, and do the thing. And I go back and I get my eye exam, and the physician is super nice and very polite and professional. And I get done, and so my need for this whole vision exam is contacts. I'm out of contacts, and I wear contacts most of the summer, so I can wear sunglasses when I work out. And I do prefer to wear glasses, and we can have that. Maybe I'll put that as a poll: glasses or contacts. But contacts have a purpose, and I use them. And so I'm out. I use dailies. I can nurse these dailies for well over the year that you're supposed to have them. I can go, once every 3 or 4 days, which I get is not good for your eye health, but it's good for my pocketbook, right? So I'm out. I need new ones. I'm due for an eye exam. I go. I get the exam, and then so I sit down with the gal at front. That now we're talking the financials. So here's what you owe us today, and here's what we're gonna do. And so she says, okay, it'll be a $10 copay for your exam. Perfect. That seems status quo. It seems the usual. Perfect. Not a problem. And then I heard her mutter to be paid 100% by the patient, and I kind of snickered, and I was like, okay, what are they getting me for this time? And she says, well, your insurance doesn't cover contact fitting, which is part of the exam that you have was to fit your contacts because they perceive glasses to be the primary reason for having the visit. And so they'll give me $175 towards the purchase of a yearly prescription of my contacts, but they won't cover the cost of having it my eyeball measured and tested to have them fit. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so she goes, that'll be $125. So okay, no, it's unexpected, but sure, whatever. I guess I have to pay it. I'm kind of annoyed, but it is what it is. And then she says, when you come back in a couple weeks, we'll talk about what contacts you want to get. And I said, well, just out of curiosity, you know, how does that shape up? And she says, well, your insurance will give you $175 off the contacts, and there's a rebate that you can send in. So, the contacts are $600, $600 for a year supply of contacts. Are you shitting me? And then so minus the 175, so now we're down to about 435 with a $200 rebate that they send you, mind you. So you have to pay $435 up front for the contacts for a year subscription prescription. Sorry, $435. And then they'll mail you a Visa gift card for $200. Thanks for doing business. And I was like, whatever. It is what it is. And then I said, just out of curiosity, like, what benefits do I have towards glasses? And she goes, oh, let's look. And she says, typically $150 towards frames, but we don't do that here. And I was like, wait, what? She goes, yeah, we can't use your insurance towards glasses here. And we've tried to get them to put that on their website because we have a lot of problems. And so what we do is we offer a $30 discount. So if you buy, or not 30% discount. So if you buy your glasses here, your frames, and she gives the reason for this is that we don't use the lab that your insurance uses. We use a different one. And I said, so wait a minute, just so I'm clear. My vision insurance won't cover my contact fitting because it's not the primary reason to come to a vision clinic to get your eyes checked. But at the same time, they don't cover any cost for the glasses, which is the primary reason you come to a vision center, is to get glasses. That's not technically true. You have benefits towards glasses. We just can't do them here because we're basically out of network. And I said, well, there we go again, talking about networks again, because the website says that you're in network. That's why I picked you, because you're real close to my house. And it's the least inconvenient place for me to go to get my eyes checked. Because I understand that. We've asked them to put it on their website, but they said they can't do it. So they can't put a disclaimer on their website that says. So what they do is they honor my insurance covers an exam pretty much anywhere. So thankfully. And they'll cover some costs for contacts. Now, not the contact fitting. But we're not going to do anything at this place for glasses because they use a different lab. You're shitting me, right? So out of all of that, so let's say, and I don't know what frames and lenses are not cheap either. So let's say we're $300 into a pair of glasses which is probably cheaper end. You're talking $90, because that the business is going to give me a discount, which is very nice of them. But my vision insurance isn't going to cover any of it. They're like, no, we can't use that here. So all in all, I'm out $125 today for the non-coverage of the contacts, but we'll give you $175 towards contacts, which are, by the way, now up to $600 for an entire year's worth. And then the glasses, you're on your own, man. You're gonna have to pay cash for those if you want to buy them from there. Now, I could probably take my prescription of my glasses to a 1-hour optical or something like that and get some cheap glasses, which is fine. I'm not above it. I'll do it. But the point of it, this whole thing is that what kind of a cumbersome system it is, where if you take everything at face value and say, okay, well, I can go here, my insurance is accepted, which technically it kind of is, but just not for all the services, that you don't know that until you go there. So I'm 2 hours out of my day with the exam and trial pair of contacts, no new glasses, which I wasn't in for anyway, but eventually I'll need them, and $125 deep in a contact fitting. And then we still haven't even gotten to the point where I have to go back in a couple weeks, decide what pair of contacts I like better, and then decide if I'm going to order them, which I can't imagine for that I would. There's got to be cheaper places out there to get contacts. So I don't know, guys. It seems weird to me, doesn't it, that we advertise a healthcare insurance plan that doesn't really cover parts of the healthcare that you're trying to use it for, but technically it does. So am I wrong? Am I thinking about this ass backwards? Am I too deep into this? I really believe that the only way to navigate the healthcare system is to be independently wealthy, right? Like you can't, for what little it seems to cover anymore. And I get that there's worse places out there to get healthcare and healthcare insurance. We're not going to talk about socialized healthcare. I get it. I understand that, gee, Jason, you should just be thankful that your eye exam was covered. Yes, you're not wrong. Sure. But your dental exam is covered too, but really they don't cover any, like, dental insurance is kind of the same way, right? Like it'll cover your exam just for somebody to say, hey, you're going to have to spend another $500 on your teeth. I don't know. It's and also I don't pay a lot of money for this insurance either. It's not like the premiums are, breaking me like healthcare costs do, like actual medical care, medical insurance premiums do. I guess it's a relatively inexpensive insurance. So maybe I should just you get what you pay for. I don't know. It just seems to me that they always find a way, and they meaning corporate healthcare always finds a way to stick it to you, to offer you something, but not really offer you anything. So that's it for today. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've totally. And if I am, tell me. Uh, Don't be afraid to fire in the comments of this episode and say, "Listen, man, I think you got it wrong. Um, you seem to be a paranoid conspiracy theorist," which sure. Uh, and you should just be thankful that you were able to go and get your eyes checked for little to no cost, relatively speaking. Let me know. That's it for today. Work hard. Be kind. Bye.